Hello there, welcome back to my channel, where today I'm going to be putting on some eyeshadow using the Cat's Breath palette from Udenzi. And I also wanted to talk about a trend that I see within the beauty community. I'm not huge on YouTube and I don't watch a lot of beauty channels, but the ones that I do watch, I've been noticing a bit of a pattern. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on that, then just keep on watching. And if you're new to my channel, hello and welcome. My name is Rachel. I'm a homeschooling stay-at-home mom. My baby just woke up from her nap, so you might hear her on the monitor. I just love to play with colorful eyeshadow. I don't know much about other kinds of cosmetics. For me, it's all about the eyes and things that enhance the eyes. So if you're interested in seeing colorful tutorials, rankings, palette bingos, anything like that, I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing. I try to upload about 3 videos a week, and you can find me on Instagram at Shimmers and Silver, and under the Reels tab I have mini tutorials that don't usually make it to YouTube. So without further ado, let's just get into this. I'm actually going to start, this is going to be a little bit of a get ready with me while I chat. I'm going to start by doing my eyebrows. I do very little with my eyebrows. Sometimes I don't do my eyebrows at all, but I felt like doing it today. So I have 2 different eyebrow products. Either I use this pencil, which is the Express Brow from Maybelline. It has a spoolie on one end and then just a colored pencil on the other end. Or I take my brow definer brush and I dip into the Revolution Pro Brow Pomade in dark brown. I got this off of Beauty Bay's website, I think, when I ordered a palette from them. I think today I'll use the pomade and maybe then the spoolie. I don't know. I'm kind of winging it. Again, eyeshadow is my thing, and so anything else I do is really just to enhance the eye look. So I want to talk today about this growing trend that I'm seeing among creators, where people seem to be overwhelmed and feeling kind of burned out when it comes to the content on YouTube and the amount of beauty products that they have. I don't watch a ton of channels. I am actually going to be posting a video soon where I talk about the YouTube channels that I do watch. I don't think I follow any channels where the people have like millions of subscribers. It's just not really my scene. You know, I was thinking of getting a clear brow pomade or a clear brow gel so that I can hold the hairs up a little bit more, and then just sort of dip into the color to fill in the gaps. I have a bit of sparseness in the hairs in a few areas, but I don't want the super cut, very, very bold, defined eyebrows. I just want to fill in a bit of the gaps that I see. First, I'm going to prime my eyes using the Glamlight Icing Primer in the shade White Frosting. The look that I'm doing today is actually fully inspired by a look that I saw from Angelica Nikafest. I think hers was done 3 years ago. 3 years ago. It was, I don't know, I happened upon a video of hers that looked interesting, so I watched the video, but it was the eye look that got me, so I'm going to try to recreate that eye look. I'm going to start with a pretty dense blending brush. I'm going to dip into the shade, again, I'm using the Cat's Breath palette from Udenzi. I'm going to dip into the shade Warmth, which is the center shade. It is a beautiful, vibrant orange matte. Got a lot of kick up, but that doesn't bother me. And I'm going to put Warmth in the outer corner and blend it into the crease. So this is what I'm seeing a lot of on YouTube, is people, like, it used to be all of these videos where people were taking these glamour photos or they were taking pictures of all their, basically all their stuff and talking about it. And there was just this very high consumerism sort of mentality. What it does is it fosters an appetite for buying the newest thing now. Like, getting all the stuff, getting it when it's hot, don't miss the sale, don't miss the opportunity, spend all your money to get all the new things. And because I'm new to this sort of world, I don't know how the beauty world was 5, 10 years ago. I don't even know how it was 2 years ago. I just don't know. I don't have any experience in it up until the last 12 months. The impression that I seem to be getting is that there was, for a season, a big focus on getting the newest thing, grabbing it, reviewing it, everybody would go out and buy it, hype is over, get the next newest thing. And what that resulted in, aside from everybody spending far too much money, was people's collections were enormous, and nobody's ever gonna go through all of the product that they have. Content creators would get PR packages, and you know, it's one thing to add an eyeshadow palette to your collection. When I add a new eyeshadow palette to my collection, say I get a palette and it has 12 shades in it, it'll take, like, I could do a different look for a week before I used all those 12 shades and got a good idea of the palette. But imagine getting an entire collection in the mail where you've got the eyeshadow palette, and then you've got 2 blush duos, and you've got brow products and fake eyelashes and mascara, and you've got foundation products, and you've got highlighters, and like a whole collection. It's so easy to get completely inundated and overwhelmed with all this content, all this stuff. That's where people were starting to get a little bit like, oh my word, I'm never gonna use all this stuff. I'm taking a much smaller blending brush. This one is pinched, and I'm grabbing the white peach shade. It's a lighter tone, but slightly brown undertone, peachy matte shade, and I'm just blending out this orange here. So people were starting to get a lot of stuff. You know, you would see tours of people's beauty rooms. I think in a way it became the thing to reach for. Like, your goal was to have a beauty room. Your goal was to have so much stuff that when you do a palette declutter video, you know, you could advertise, or you put on your thumbnail, 150 palettes gone. The fact that people had 150 palettes to get rid of is insane. I can't even imagine. Like, where do you put this stuff? You do need an entire room just to hold it. I mean, my eyeshadow was in my bathroom cabinet for a while until I learned that the moisture was probably bad for it. So now it's in, I don't know if you can see, there's a little end table right behind me, and that is now where my palettes live. I can't imagine having 150 of them. I showed my sister when she came to visit a couple months ago. I was like, you want to see my eyeshadow? And she's like, yeah, you're so into it now. So I pulled out all my palettes, and I brought them to the table. I had like 30 of them. She's like, oh my word. Yeah, we grew up very frugally. We did not have a lot of money. My parents, you know, they didn't have a lot for a while. And so just for me, having that many palettes was like, wow. I've gotten rid of a few since then. I've added in a few since then. My collection is more eclectic than it was when I just had Colourpop. But people were getting rid of hundreds of palettes at a time. And I understand if you're a content creator, if you have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and the whole point of your channel is to review new content, then it makes sense to have, you know, a lot of this stuff. It makes sense for the PR packages to come to you. I'm gonna take a much more stubby and denser blending brush and dip into the shade Catnip, which is like a Tiffany blue matte. And I'm gonna put this on the rest of my lid, wherever the orange is not. If you were a YouTuber and this was the sort of content you did, like your channel was all about having the newest thing, reviewing it, and your followers would know, maybe this is a good fit for me, maybe I'd like to get it. I understand all of that, but think about these YouTubers who have so much stuff. And there is a point for most people where you just feel buried in stuff. This is why minimalism is often what people end up moving to when they start getting rid of things, because they realize that your stuff actually holds on to you and it keeps you down. You know, when you move, you have to pack up all your stuff. When you downsize, you have to get rid of stuff. It's just too much. It's just too much. And the secondhand market is filled with people who bought when something was being hyped, or even not, maybe just bought it because they wanted it, or their favorite YouTuber recommended it. And I am not innocent in this. I've done it myself. I have a couple of palettes in my collection, and I have had some palettes that I got rid of that I bought because they were hyped by somebody who I watched and I admired, and I was like, I want that. Well, you're satisfied with that for like a couple of days. And then it got to the point where I was buying palettes while other palettes were en route to me. Like, they had been shipped. They were coming to my mailbox, and I was online ordering new palettes. That's a problem. Is that a problem for anyone else? No? Anyone? That's a problem. That's just this endorphin kick, you know? Buying something because you feel lonely, buying something because you feel unsatisfied in perhaps other areas of your life, buying something just because somebody recommended it to you, and all right, I'll go and spend, you know, $15 on this product, and maybe it is just a $15 palette, but then, hey, I'm on the website and I'll get free shipping if I spend $35 or more, so I'll just throw in another palette. Next thing you know, you have so much stuff. And like for me personally, I had palettes and I didn't know where to start. Like, I have 3 new palettes, so I'm not really excited about any of them because I have 3. Where do I start? I had that problem this past Christmas of 2021. It was an eyeshadow Christmas and I loved it. I loved all the palettes I got. They were so much fun. They were all things that I wanted. And then when I sat down in the new year to do my eyeshadow, I had no idea where to start because I was excited about each individual palette, and then they all came to me at one time and I had 11 palettes in front of me and I was just overwhelmed. I didn't know where to begin. I wanted to give all of them a fair shot and give them all time and attention, and I ended up doing nothing. That's a big problem in the mindset of retail therapy. Well, if I just, I'm feeling a little sad, I'll just buy this. I'm feeling a little low, why don't I get that? That looks nice. And the person who's wearing that seems to be happy, I'll get that. It's a very dangerous thing. And I see a lot of that when I look back on the older videos, because a lot of the videos that I'm watching, recreationally, I might go watch a video that's 2 or 3 years old. That's where I got this eye look. Not casting aspersions on the creators. That was just the culture. But it's this hyper-consumer culture that ends up where we are now, which is people feeling totally inundated with stuff. I think I want to bring this orange in a little bit further. So now what I'm seeing, and this is just based on my observation, I haven't done research or anything into this. Now what I'm seeing is these content creators, these YouTubers who before had all the, the pretty glamorous thumbnails with pictures of all the items surrounding their heads and stuff. Now I'm seeing more, and it's not across the board, just more. They're starting to show pictures of themselves crying, or pictures of themselves not made up and looking apologetically at the camera. They're showing pictures of themselves doing regular, ordinary, everyday things like cleaning the dishes or planting a garden, just doing life things that everyone does, but you didn't see the beauty YouTubers doing it before, because before it was all about the makeup. And now a lot of the captions or the grab ya sort of tags that make people want to click on the video are, I'm overwhelmed, I'm not doing okay, I'm struggling, it's been hard, this is tough, things like that. I'll get back to that in a minute. And if you click on the video, you learn that these people are really struggling with the pressure of their YouTube channel and feeling the need to have all that stuff constantly coming in so that they can then put out content that people will want. But they also might not be seeing the same kinds of views on that content because everybody is feeling this on some level, where we're sitting in our living rooms going, why did I just order 3 more eyeshadow palettes? I've got 15 eyeshadow palettes in my closet. Why don't I just use the ones I have? And now you have kind of a rise of the project panners. So they say, let's not get new stuff. Let's use what we've got. I'm taking a small blending brush and running the shade Catnip on my entire lower lash line. And the project panners are using what they have. And that's becoming more of a trend where people are recognizing, this is wasteful. This is in some ways dangerous because it fosters discontent, insecurity, and people are more conscious about the impact on the planet when it comes to packaging and trash, and what is it doing to the planet if I buy 30 eyeshadow palettes and then every 6 months I do a declutter and get rid of a bunch, but then get more, and some stuff gets thrown away, particularly if we buy a lot and then it expires. And I'm not even just talking about eyeshadow, just in general. Honestly, eyeshadow probably has a longer shelf life than something like a cream product that might separate, a concealer or a foundation. I don't use much of those, so I don't actually know, but I would expect that if you keep it in dry conditions, then powder will last a little bit longer. And so there's definitely a mindset and more attention to the environmental impact of this consumer culture of ours. People are using paper bags at the grocery store. Starbucks is starting to implement cardboard straws more across the board, and things like that. People are becoming more and more aware of their environmental footprint. And a hyper-consumer culture is not conducive to that mindset. Now I'm going to take a smudger brush and dip into the dark teal shade in this palette. It is called Bad Temper. I love this. I love this palette. This palette makes me smile. My daughter's like, I love the packaging, but not the colors. And I just love the colors. The bright orange mixed with teal, to me, is an unexpected color story, and I love it. And then you've got hints of like the Tiffany blue and then these interesting shimmers. It's really beautiful. Anyway, this is the shade Bad Temper on a smudger brush. And I'm gonna put this in my outer corner on the lower lash line. So now you're seeing influencers admit that they're struggling, that they're starting to feel overwhelmed. They are doing more and more declutters, getting rid of more and more. And I think there's a blend of that being just the honest fact, but also possibly to get the views. Because if your YouTube thumbnail says over 200 palettes decluttered, well, it's kind of therapeutic to sit and watch that, because it's nice to see people go through what they have and get rid of stuff. I personally enjoy them. I personally have made them and will probably be making a couple more. But if you're doing that just for the likes, because you can look at your YouTube analytics and see, oh, my tutorials don't get the kinds of views that I would like, and the kinds of videos that get views are the ones where I'm going through my collection. So you do more of those videos. And that, I think, is where some YouTubers are resorting to more, I won't say clickbait, because clickbait is where you have the caption and then the video is not really anything to do with the caption. The caption was just to get you in so that YouTube sees that the video was clicked on. So I won't say clickbait. It's more like gotcha, sort of gotcha journalism, maybe? I don't know, where they'll put up something explicitly to grab your attention that emphasizes how dire things are. And the video is more focusing on their struggles. And I'm not trying to minimize any of that. I'm not trying to suggest that these people aren't struggling. I'm sure that they're not lying to us. What does bother me is when you see a thumbnail of somebody like ugly crying and it says, I'm struggling. That irritates me a little bit, because they're struggling, they're frustrated, they're hurt, they're all these feelings, but they have the time and the presence of mind to take a selfie while they're in the middle of some dramatic emotional event, and then turn it into a YouTube thumbnail with a caption that's going to grab people's attention more so than your ugly crying, and then put it on the internet. That, to be totally honest, that bothers me. That feels disingenuous. We all struggle. We all have things that are difficult. We all have points of frustration. We all struggle with motherhood. We all struggle with balancing work life and family life and home life. Everyone struggles with things. It's not unheard of to say, hey, I'm having a problem with this, and maybe talk with your friends over it and try to resolve things. I'll give you an example. Ava Choose is a YouTuber that I like. I found her channel for the makeup and I stayed for her personality. Over the last couple of months, she has posted fewer videos, and then on her community tab, she'll say, hey guys, this week went a little crazy. Sorry there was no video. I'll get back to you. And then there were a couple videos where it was like, ADHD is killing me, or this is difficult, or whatever. And they were a little bit more of those, like, they weren't the glamour shoots. It wasn't, I'm smiley and surrounded by makeup products. It was more real life, more relatable, you know, a photo from her sitting in her car. And those videos were her being real and honest, like, I'm having trouble with this. And then the most recent one that I saw was her announcing that her channel is going to be going in a new direction because she's feeling overwhelmed. She's feeling dissatisfied. She's feeling frustrated. She's feeling hemmed in by all of her stuff. She knows she's never going to go through everything. And this is the trend that I'm seeing with a lot more YouTubers. The reason I brought Ava up at this point in the video is because, sorry, I stopped doing my eyeshadow. The reason I brought Ava up in this part of the video was because Ava did not do it in that, like, again, not clickbaity, but I don't know, gotcha journalism sort of way, or whatever the phrase would be. She did it in a more authentic way. It wasn't take a picture of herself, like, collapsed on the side of a house sobbing and then put it on YouTube. She just sort of took a picture of herself sitting on her couch and be like, you know, real life. You know, it was done better. And I think that we can all relate to that more because it was more real and less less of a show, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe people are gonna think that I'm being crazy insensitive about this, and maybe I am. There's a good chance that I am. I am not always the most empathetic of people. I am not always the most patient of people. My mother is a very practical and pragmatic woman. She was not touchy-feely. And so I definitely picked up some of that from her. You know, if my daughter hurts herself, I'm like, you're fine. You know, I'm not gonna sit there and coddle her. So perhaps I'm being insensitive. If I am, and if I have truly offended anybody, I'm sorry. But this is just what I'm seeing, and some of it seems sincere, and I have no problem with sincerity. I appreciate and value sincerity. I understand that people struggle with things, and I am the first one to comment on a video like that and say, hey, I get it. We're all kind of feeling that. You have support around you. That's important, and I am absolutely all on board for that sort of thing. But there's a line between real and artificial, and the artificial ones are the ones that bother me. So I want to talk a little bit about the way that a lot of channels seem to be going, and I'm kind of curious how that's going to affect the future of this industry on YouTube. Ava Choose, for example, but also many others, people seem to be, why can't I get this balanced? I don't like the way this is balancing. I know what I need to do. I need to bring the orange in more. I don't like that it's a straight up and down color. I'm going to bring the orange in this way and angle it a little bit more like that. Ava is doing this, but other people are as well, where their channels are taking a turn. They've realized that they're dissatisfied. They're feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling like there's just too much of everything. They want to get rid of stuff and focus more on what brings them joy. And so for a lot of these content creators are moving towards fashion, outfit of the day, and they do a little fashion vlog. They're doing travel vlogs, family vlogs, tours of their homes, things like that. Things that are not as related to makeup, and definitely not as heavily influenced by a buying culture. Now, certainly you could get into a buying culture in anything. You could buy home decor, you could buy clothing, you can buy too much of anything. Getting rid of stuff doesn't address that problem, particularly if that problem stems from insecurity or self-worth or boredom or feelings of inadequacy or whatever it may be. Now I'm going to take a small pencil brush and dip into the Cat Star shimmer. It is the blue and white stripy shimmer. And I think I'm going to spray this. I'm going to use this as an inner corner highlight. So basically, a lot of creators are discovering these feelings and they're taking on a new direction in their channels. A lot of them are moving to the vlog format. And basically just focusing on things other than cosmetics. I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place in this video. I knew I wanted to talk about this thing, but it's hard. I'm still getting used to talking about something that's totally unrelated to what I'm doing. I am curious to see how the industry will change. I recently watched a video put on by Kelly Gooch, and she was talking about the rise and fall of Colourpop, and that's part of her series, the rise and fall of. And she ended by saying Colourpop hasn't really fallen. Their rise was quite interesting and quite unique to the industry. I won't get into that. If you're interested, I'll link her video below and you can watch it yourself. And they haven't really fallen, but people are getting weary of Colourpop. It's not that their formula is bad. They have a good formula. They have very affordable prices, and all of that is to their credit and is certainly stuff that keeps people coming back. However, they release far too often. They release like once or twice a week. Not even kidding. And it seems like what they're releasing lately has kind of just been duping themselves. Like, oh, didn't you release that last year just in different packaging with 1 or 2 different colors? I remember when Lush Life, I was actually on scene when Colourpop launched the Lush Life palette. And I maintain that that was possibly their best launch of 2021. That palette was amazing. Not only was it amazing quality, just beautiful quality and performance and buildability, particularly on the dark mattes, which can be hard to formulate, but that palette stood out because, and I not just stood out among Colourpop's products, but stood out in the entire marketplace because of the interesting color story. It was an interesting palette. You had these weird salmony, peachy colors. You had like almost a lime green, but not really limey. You had like a deep tealy green, you had blues, deep, rich, saturated blues, then you had more of a brownish, mauve-ish kind of thing. You had some golds. It's a really interesting color story, and I think that is what people loved so much about it, quite apart from the great quality, because they didn't have anything else like that. Colourpop didn't have anything else like that, and people didn't have that sort of thing within their collections either. And so, great palette, great sales. It was really a winner. But I feel like since that palette, not a lot of what Colourpop has launched has been exciting like that. They've done a lot more neutral things, or a lot more safe color stories that are more muted or more downplayed, and then maybe a pop of color here or there, but it's just nothing exciting. Especially like the spring launches have been really snooze. I don't like Colourpop. I started with Colourpop. I have a decent collection of Colourpop still. It's just, I don't know. And Kelly wasn't saying that Colourpop had fallen, but people are getting weary of Colourpop because there's so much of it. They're just new collections all the time, weekly collections. You get excited about something and then it's old news because now there's something new. It doesn't give people time to consume. Never mind to give creators time to make videos and reviews and comparisons and whatnot and get them online so that people can watch their videos and make a decision before the next product is out. There's just no time for any of it. I think I want to deepen this orange slightly. There's no deeper orange in the palette, so I'm going to take the brown. This is a small blending brush, and the brown is called Cat Hair. And I'm going to use it in the outer corner. So at this point, I'm curious to see how these kinds of feelings are going to translate in the YouTube community, the beauty community at large. If the content that we start seeing is going to be quite different from what we've seen in previous years. If there will be more palette declutters and fewer beauty room tours, more focus on mindful consumption, more focus on project panning, less emphasis on, new makeup launches and Sephora and Ulta sales and the sorts of things that people have been getting excited about over the last couple years. I'm just curious to see if that's going to change. Or perhaps the people who have been creating beauty-related content for the last 4 or 5 years and are now getting worn out and are getting stressed and feeling burned out, maybe those people are just, it's time for them to pass the torch. And perhaps their channels will change, or maybe they'll stop creating and they'll just move on with life, and new people will rise up and take over in those spaces. Now, if that's the case, I'm still curious to see if when new people rise, if they will be creating the same kind of content, or if the industry at large, the industry in general, is changing towards these smaller collection launches and buying less and seeing how far, challenges where you use the same palette for a full month until you hit pan. I guess that's project panning. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm sorry I had a little pause there. My daughter came downstairs and needed help with something, so I was pretty much done talking. I had made all the points I wanted to make. I finished up the eye look. I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of a deeper reddish brown to this look, so I went into the Play It Jewel palette from Colourpop, and I took the bottom left shade, which is called Bangle? I think it's called Bangle. And it's kind of a redder orange, more of a vermilion shade. It matches my shirt a little bit more, and I put that just in the very outer corner on top of what I had placed down before with Cat's Breath. And then I put on a light blue waterline color and finished everything up. So that's the look. I hope you enjoy it, hope you like it. That's the video. I would love to know what your thoughts are on this topic. Do you consume enough YouTube that you actually notice this sort of thing? Am I the only one? Is it happening on the much bigger channels, or are they still kind of what they used to be? And what do you think about what you're seeing, and how do you think it may affect YouTube in the future? I'm really curious. There's nobody in my life who cares about this sort of stuff, and so I would just like to have somebody to chat with. So if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Please put them in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content, and find me over on Instagram so we can be buddies there. Anyway, until we see each other again, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.